Good afternoon and welcome to Western Michigan University Homer Striker MD School of Medicine and our WMed You webinar. It is my pleasure to welcome you here today. My name is Jean Shelton. I am the Assistant Dean for Admissions in Student Life. I hope you guys are joining us on our Instagram account. If you have questions throughout, I'm going to try to grab a couple of those. So if you go up into our stories, you can put in any questions that you may have throughout our talk today. You can go ahead and put them in the box there, and we'll try to address those here at the end. All right, so a little bit about who we are. So Western Michigan University Homer Striker MD, which we call WMed, is located here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is in southwest Michigan. We have a population of about 335,000 folks. And we are a private medical school. That means we don't have any in-state versus out-of-state requirements, and our students actually come to us from across the nation. So we have students who are very local. We have students from as far away as California to Arizona and everywhere in between. We were established in 2014 with our first class graduating just last year in 2018. All right, so we are private for a couple of reasons, and one of them is that we are a collaboration between Western Michigan University, the flagship, but also Bronson Healthcare and Ascension Borges, our two hospital partners. So when the medical school came about, these three entities really got together and said, hey, we can do a medical school here in Kalamazoo, a full medical school, and came together at our governing board, and we are a private school for that reason. As a student, it's important to know that because you will be learning in these entities, Bronson and Borges, and they are truly our clinical partners. Now, our mission, vision, and values is always a place I like to start. And you may think, man, I've read these before, I've seen these before, but I think it's incredibly important when you're thinking about what's important to you in a medical school, what's important to you as a future physician, to really find a school that aligns with those things. So I encourage you as you're hunting down, as you're narrowing down your list of where you're going to apply, to really think through, does a school's mission, vision, and values really align with yours? On interview day, our dean likes to say that, he can't guarantee, he can't even, predict what decisions he's going to have to make during your 4 years at WMed, but he can guarantee that it will be this mission, these values that will help make those big decisions. So if these really resonate with you, innovation, lifelong learning, integrity, professionalism, leadership, teamwork, collaboration, compassion for everyone, and valuing inclusiveness and diversity, if those really resonate with who you are, WMed may be a really good fit for you. All right, so right there in our mission statement, we talk about preparing the clinicians, leaders, educators, advocates, and researchers for tomorrow. And we talk a lot about the acronym CLEAR. I get a lot of questions about what type of physician we are producing, and we are producing physicians who really embody this CLEAR acronym. And what does that mean as an institution? So first and foremost, we are learner-centered. Everything we do is around the idea of a learner. As a physician, you'll be a lifelong learner, and that's something that we start, and something that from our first-year medical students to our experienced faculty, everyone is still a learner, and there's still things to pick up along the way. We've talked a little bit about team-based, but I really want to hit that here a little bit. As a medical student, you're going to work as part of a team, and we're going to start teaching you about that teamwork from day one. Teamwork is incredibly important, not only here in the learning environment, but also as a future physician. Gone are the days of a sole practitioner running the ship. Now medicine really is all about the team and the healthcare team. So we want to teach you not only what the role of the physician is, but what the role of those other healthcare professionals are, how to work with people who are different than you, how to work through difficult situations, how to communicate well. All of those things are incredibly important and take a good physician to being a really, truly great physician. So our entire curriculum is built around the idea of a team. You will participate in team-based learning events most weeks. You will be part of teams throughout the curriculum, whether it's your anatomy team or your learning community or your explorations group. So there's lots of opportunities to meet different people, learn from different people, and really explore what being a member of a team means. One of the first things you'll do as a student here is our Medical First Responders course. And that is something that we decided was really important here at WMed. It is a little bit innovative, I guess, with our curriculum, but you'll join a team there, and that team you'll learn basic medical knowledge. You will get some hands-on experience, but you also spend some time in our simulation center, and that team will really follow you through. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about our curriculum here in a little bit, but as a new medical school, we've really built an innovative curriculum. We've looked at other medical schools, we've kind of followed some best practices, but have really built an innovative, modern, systems-based curriculum where we teach you not only the information you need, but also how to use your resources and how to find the information that you need. Another piece of our curriculum and who we are as an institution is really integration. So vertical and horizontal integration. And what does that really mean? Well, it means here at WMed you won't take a standalone biochemistry course. You won't take a standalone anatomy course. We've integrated throughout our curriculum those ideas and those through the systems model. So what does that really mean? Well, it means that in our cardio course, you will spend time learning the basic science principles that go along with cardio. You'll spend time in our anatomy lab during the cardio course dissecting the heart. You will spend time in our simulation center working through cardiac cases. So we really want to take the basic sciences, integrate the clinical sciences, and bring that all together and then make it as clinically applicable as possible, with really that goal that by the time you become a practicing physician, you're able then to pull out the information a little bit more quickly and because of that integrative model. Now I want to talk a little bit about our curriculum, and this is our 4-year curriculum chart. I know you may not be able to see it all. It is available on our website, but I want to talk through some bigger themes here. So first you'll see that it is a 4-year curriculum. Our students start in July, graduations are in May, and the 4 years in between are split between the foundation curriculum and then the clinical applications curriculum. So you spend about 19 months in the foundations courses and then 25 months in clinical applications. Some highlights here, some things that you may notice. You start early on with molecular foundations, genetic foundations, and then you really transition into clinical courses, or clinically based courses. So each one of our courses is led by a basic science faculty member, a biomedical sciences faculty member, and a clinician. So from the very beginning, we're teaching you those two things right alongside of each other. And we think that that's really important. When you look at this curriculum, you'll see some green weeks, some of those green bars up there. And those green bars are kind of showing our decompressed curriculum. We do go straight through. There is no long summer break for us. And we took this model to really make medical school a little bit more breathable, a little bit more livable. Those green weeks are truly that. They are green weeks. Students are able to either take a vacation week and really catch their breath, or take an elective. And these electives are designed to get you some early exposure, have fun, explore some things, and are designed also to give you that break. These 1-week electives are scheduled for about 20 to 25 hours during that week, so you're still getting a little bit of a breath during that week, but also give you some early exposure. Now these can be everything from, medical education elective to massage therapy tends to be a popular one, but also maybe you're interested in becoming an ENT, and you know that you won't get a ton of time to explore that till really later on in our curriculum. So spending this 1 week gives you a nice taste, a flavor of what that life would look like, and you can see if it's still on your list or if it's not. So these electives run the gamut, and I think last time I knew there were somewhere around 150 different options that you can do during these green weeks. So after each and every course, you do have a green week, and you need to do 4 electives during that time. When you get towards the end of the second bar, you'll see that's where you start your first clerkship, and that is a clinical rotation. Our students spend their clinical applications, their basic or their core clerkships will be either at Borges or Bronson here in Kalamazoo and the surrounding Southwest Michigan area. So we get our students out into the hospitals pretty early on. You've been here about 19 months by the first time you start your third clerkship. Something else you may notice in our curriculum is a large green break in the middle of that third year. That is actually where our students take step 1, the licensure exam. Traditionally, this is taken after the second year. We have moved it to after 4 of your core clerkships, and we did this really looking at the data of other medical schools that have done this. I think there's about 18 of us now who have moved our step 1 later, and the data really shows that students do better with the clinical foundation to stand upon. So getting 4 of your 6 core clerkships, you are better prepared to take that exam, and our students have done very well. During the 4th year, you'll see that there's a lot more flex time. So during the 4th year, you're really nailing down what type of physician you want to be, preparing for residency, maybe doing some away rotations and exploring other hospitals. So there's a lot of time during that 4th year for you to really figure out your plans for your next step in your career. So like I said, this is all available on our website, but gives you a pretty good flavor of what WMed's curriculum looks like. Next, I want to talk a little bit about what makes us unique, what makes WMed different than other medical schools. First and foremost, we have a really long legacy of medical education here in Kalamazoo. I hear a lot, you're a new medical school, and I said we are, but we have faculty who will tell you they have been teaching in Kalamazoo for 25 years, and they have. Before we were a standalone medical school, we were a clinical site, so we were housing 3rd and 4th year medical students, and just here in the last few years have added on the medical school the first 2 years. We've had some exciting moments in the last year, first being obtaining full accreditation. As a new medical school, as a new private medical school, we've gone through both the Higher Learning Commission, which is the institutional accreditation. Because we are a separate entity from WMU, WMed earned our own HLC accreditation, which is really exciting back in June. And then the second being LCME accreditation. LCME are the folks who accredit USMD programs, and we gained our full accreditation back in February of 18 as our first class graduated. So I did receive quite a few questions about our match list and where our graduates have gone. Our class of 2018 with 48 members are now practicing physicians across the nation. We had a 100% match rate, 43% are in primary care, 57 in specialties, 19% stayed right here in Michigan, but they are practicing in 23 different states. So we have students who are now practicing docs, PGY1 students out across the nation, which is really exciting. And we look forward to our second class graduating this May. Next being our community involvement and engagement. Kalamazoo truly is our partner in this medical school. When we started, they were really excited, really behind the med school. And learning in Kalamazoo is really a good place to learn not only how to be a physician, but how to be a community member and how to be a community leader. Kalamazoo is known for education, is known for the arts, so our students, whether they are from Kalamazoo, born and raised, or from across the nation, really are adopted into this wonderful Midwestern community and really learn what being a community member is. And we think that that's important. We think that that's something you will be called upon as a physician to do for the rest of your lives. So that's something we start teaching right away. We have things built into our curriculum where we send you out into our community. Our active citizenship program sends students out into the community where we pair you up with an organization. You get to work with them for an extended period of time to learn what are their struggles, what's going on in that particular organization, and how you can help. So there's really a lot of opportunity to continue on what you've been doing as an undergrad and to explore what those next steps in your career look like. Next is our hands-on curriculum. As a new med school, we have really built in a lot of hands-on activities throughout our curriculum. We have one of the largest simulation centers in the nation, and you start using that sim center right away. As a first-year med student, you're going to take that MFR course, Medical First Responders course, which gets you a licensure here in the state of Michigan. And as an MFR, you learn basic life-saving techniques. You learn medical language, and you're able to use that as a student. So you're able to volunteer as an MFR here in the community, whether it is working in the medical tent at the Bronco football game or working the med tent at maybe one of the local races. So there's a lot of opportunity to use your licensure as a student and stay engaged in that. Throughout the curriculum, you're going to spend quite a bit of time in our simulation center, which, like I said, is one of the largest in the nation. Our students learn down there in both our hospital. We have a simulated hospital, a simulated clinic, and then also a skills lab. So in that simulated hospital, we have medical mannequins who are just about as advanced as you and I are. They can do everything really but get up and dance. They can breathe, their eyes dilate, they can speak, they can be intubated, they can be catheterized. You can really do anything that is called for when you're working with the medical mannequins in our sim center. We record everything that happens in there, so you're able to debrief with your group afterward, figure out where things went right, where things could be changed for next time. In our simulated clinic is where you'll spend a lot of time with our standardized patients. Standardized patients are folks from the community who are trained to really work with you first early on to talk a lot about communication skills. How do you talk to a patient? How do you ask the right questions to learn what you need to know? How do you deliver bad news? All of those things that, again, make a good physician a truly great physician. So if you learn well by doing, you're really going to learn well in our curriculum. We've really hit on team-oriented already, but I just want to highlight some pieces here. As a first-year medical student, when you start at WMed, you are going to get a big sibling, which is a student who is a year or two ahead of you in medical school, somebody who can kind of teach you the ropes, help make sure that you're getting acclimated. And then that just continues. Once you become a student, you're going to join a learning community. You're going to really get to be known here at WMed and join a lot of different teams and a lot of small groups. Another piece of being in a medical school, and I've touched on this when I showed the building earlier, but are our facilities. We were given $100 million to start the med school in honor of Homer Stryker. We did a massive renovation on our building, which you can see there, and that includes 2 of these team-based learning halls, classrooms, our gross anatomy and multi-purpose lab, auditorium, our 4 learning community spaces, learning commons and library, lots of small study rooms. We do teach you as teams, so we like you to study as teams. So you'll see lots of 4-person to 10-person study rooms throughout the building, as well as our fitness center, and we are home to the medical examiner. So our medical examiner serves not only Kalamazoo County, but a few of the surrounding as well. So students are able to have that experience and that exposure as well. Our simulation center has our 8 sim rooms, 12 standardized patient exam rooms, procedure labs, task trainers, and then 2 large classrooms as well. Also in the building, we do have our research facilities. Both basic sciences, clinical, and community research have all come together here at the med school. We are an Apple school as well, so you'll see a lot of our curriculum is delivered via iBooks. So lots of emphasis is placed on technology and using iBooks as that modality. We also have an electronic library, so when you visit our library, you'll see a lot of open space and not many stacks. So we've really embraced the model that medicine today is much more about having the information just in time than just in case. So we really put an emphasis on making our learning materials searchable and electronic. All right, coming back here to really discuss the one last thing, and I think the most important, is you get a lot of individual attention here at WMed. We bring in 84 students a year, and we truly get to know all 84 students. We get to know what that transition looks like for you as you're beginning medical school. We get to know you both on a personal and a professional level, and find out what a great physician looks like to you and help you get there. As a first-year student, you're going to join a learning community. Those learning communities are led by scholar advisors. Our scholar advisors are practicing clinicians, and they are the person who puts on your white coat in your first month of medical school and the person who hoods you as you graduate. That person teaches you the clinical skills, the basic art of being a physician, but also professionally follows you, as you figure out what type of physician you want to be and mentors you through that. As a second-year student, you will get access to a physician mentor who is in your area of interest. So that person can help you navigate the waters as you prepare to apply and work through the application process to become a resident. And then, of course, there are many more informal opportunities for mentorship that come from one of our 40 active student organizations. Each one has a faculty mentor, and those student orgs really run from, the surgery interest group to the ophthalmology interest group to AMSA to SNMA to AMWA and everything in between. So there's lots of career-focused student interest groups, but also there are more of the fun and lighthearted as well. So our students right now are preparing for our annual Heart of WMed, emphasis on art, which is an annual showcase of the artistic abilities of our students in our community, and then that'll be taking place in March. So there's really a lot of opportunity to bring the interest that you've had pre-medical school to WMed, and we can really help you explore those while you're here. So there's really an emphasis on that individual attention once you get to WMed. All right, so I have talked a little bit about who we are, what makes WMed unique, and what makes us who we are. I want to talk a little bit about applying to WMed and that process. So first and foremost, we do use a holistic review, and that is something we do from the very beginning of our process. So what does that really mean? Well, we are looking at 3 areas: your metrics, which is your GPA, your MCAT, any trending that may happen in there. We know that that transition to undergrad can be difficult. So if that is the case, we want to see that upward trend as you complete your studies or continue on into grad school before med school. So metrics are important, but they're not everything. Next is experiences. So we want to see what you've done before coming to medical school. And those really may be everything from medical experiences to non-medical experiences, volunteer, community service, paid, really everything in between. We want to know where your passion is, what your interests are, and what you've learned from those experiences. And last but certainly not least is your attributes, who you are as a person, your personal characteristics, values. This is extremely important. We are building teams here at WMed. So when we build those teams, we want to make sure that everyone who's learning alongside of each other has the same values and can really learn from each other. But you're learning not only with smart people who had great experiences, you're learning alongside truly great individuals as well. Now the question is, how do we do that? How do we take a peek at all of these different pieces of who you are through our application process? Well, and what we do, the way that works is kind of through this funnel. So we start with a primary application. That is the AMCAS application. That is the same application you're going to apply to all USMD schools with. Once we get that, we do screen our applications before we invite students to complete our secondary or supplemental application. That is a metric screen. We're looking for a 3.0 and a 497 on the MCAT. But our supplemental application, that next step in the process, includes not only kind of those traditional essays, but also includes an online assessment. Now, our online assessment is designed to learn more about your attributes, who you are as a person. And it is about 45 questions, multiple choice, and it is all about figuring out who you are. So that online assessment gets us some really good information about who you are early on in our cycle. So we're able to use that throughout to keep applications moving. So next step for us is that experiences review. During the experiences review, we go through and we read your entire application, from your experiences to your personal statement to the essays you write for the supplemental application. And that gives us a little bit better picture of who you are and what you're bringing to the medical school class. After that comes the telephone interview. Now, as far as I know, I think we may still be the only med school in the U.S. that does a phone interview. And the reason we do this is, there's a few reasons, but one of the reasons we do this is we know our students are coming to us from across the nation. We know that the process is long and can get expensive. So we do about 750, maybe 800 phone interviews so we can get more information about who you are before asking you to come to campus. So during that phone interview, it's about 8 questions. It is completely open-ended, and again, is not designed to learn more about your metrics or your preparation. It is designed to learn about who you are. So you won't be asked to reproduce the Krebs cycle or to talk through any equations. It is designed really for us to learn more about who you are as a person. So from there, like I said, the next step would be coming to an on-campus interview here in Kalamazoo. During that on-campus interview, we know so much about who you are as a person, and we want to get to know you a little bit better, and we honestly want you to get to know us a little bit better. So during that day, of course, you're going to do your interviews, but we also spend a lot of the day making sure you know who we are, and picturing yourself as a WMed student. So during the interview day, you will do a one-on-one interview, which is a traditional open file interview with a faculty member, and you will also do a structured interview. The structured interview is very similar to an MMI. but is 4 questions long, working with 2 different interviewers. So it is something we've worked here and we think works really well for who we are. So very similar to an MMI. If you're thinking about getting prepared for your interview here at WMed, I always tell students to prepare similarly to how you prepare for an MMI, and you'll be good to go. After that comes admissions committee decisions, and we enroll our class of 84. So some important dates to think about. We do use rolling admission, so I do always encourage students to apply as early in the process as possible. So AMCAS opens in early May. We start receiving applications in early July, and we start reviewing right away. So as soon as we start getting applications, we start going through and inviting people to do the supplemental applications and start moving through the process. In late September, our first on-campus interviews take place, followed by the first offers of admission taking place in mid-October, about October 15th, which means if you really get that application in early, move through the process as quickly as possible, you could be holding that first acceptance before Halloween of your senior year, which is pretty exciting. So I always encourage you to apply as early as possible and really stay on top of the next steps in the process and get yourself organized. We do have a November 15th AMCAS application deadline, but that is a deadline, so again, apply as early as possible. In mid-January, our supplemental application deadline passes, followed by in early March when our on-campus interviews are complete. Our classes begin in late July, so between March and July, we're really just finalizing out the class and solidifying everything. So this gives you some important dates, some things to think about as you're thinking about preparing to apply here to WMed. Some tips, things to think about. We do use AMCAS, like I said, that is the primary application where you can apply to as many USMD schools as you are interested in. In order to be eligible, you do need to either be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. While we don't have any in-state or out-of-state, Michigan or non-Michigan requirements, we do require our students to either be U.S. citizen or permanent residents. We do have a deadline of November 15th with rolling admission. We require 3 to 4 letters of evaluation. Those letters of evaluation should come from folks who know you really well. We recommend at least 1 and preferably 2 coming from a science faculty member who has taught you in class. I would recommend at least 1 from a physician that you've worked with in a clinical setting as well. That gives us a really good idea of your drive, your passion, your motivation, and your preparation. When our faculty read those letters as we're looking at inviting you to campus or post-interview, those letters often give us a lot of really good insight about what kind of a student you'll be. So I encourage you to find folks who know you really well to write those letters. We do have minimum academic metrics up here, a 3.0 GPA, 497 on the MCAT. I'm going to talk through in a minute on my next slide about our most recent class profile, but these are our minimum scores here. Recommended coursework comes next. We do not have prerequisite requirements here at WMed. We have recommended courses, and we kind of made that switch and that differentiation back when the new MCAT started, and we did this to give you a little bit more freedom to decide what courses you were going to take with your major as you prepare to apply to med school. So this does not mean you shouldn't take organic chemistry. Don't take it that way. We expect those foundation courses, but this list of courses are good to kind of fill in those gaps with upper division hard science courses that will help you to make that transition to medical school a little bit more smoothly. So these upper division courses have been chosen just for that reason. All right, so these are the minimums and kind of those requirements, but I want to show you how it all comes together. Our most recent class, the class of 22, this gives you an idea of their class profile. So last year we received just over 3,800 applications. We did almost 800 phone interviews. We invited about 400 to campus for an eventual class of 84 students. Now these 84 students come to us from 20 different states. Across them, they actually speak about 20 different languages as well. 51 undergraduate institutions. Our average age is just about 24 and a half. So we do have students who come straight through, but the upper end of the range for this class was 39. So we've got students who really come to med school from all different walks and different paths, and we think that that's important. 14% are underrepresented in medicine backgrounds. Our MCAT median was a 516, and our range was a 503 to a 525. Our GPA average, remember our minimum was a 3.0, our average is about a 365. So if you go down the second column there, these are the things that really make this a truly great group of learners. 43,000 hours of community service. 100% of these students have health-related experiences. Most of them have research experiences as well. So hopefully, our goal is to look for students who not only have the academics, but also are very, very well-rounded students who have lots of different experiences in their backgrounds as they found their path to medical school. So the full class profile is available on our website as well, and you can look at previous classes there if you just search on our website for class profile. All right, I did just want to hit on a few additional degree programs. We do have an MD MBA, which is a 5-year program in collaboration with WMU Hayworth College of Business. We have two MD PhD options, one with Van Andel Research Institute up in Grand Rapids, and the other with WMU. So you're able to really look with the WMU program for any PhD option that they have. So that's kind of an interesting piece if you're, maybe considering a PhD in English or maybe staying in the sciences. It's completely up to you, but you've got options there for the MD PhD. Additionally, we have 3 graduate programs, our Master of Science in Biomedical Sciences, which is a 1-year bridge program that does feed into our medical school. This program is an invitation program where we look for students in our AMCAS pool who really fit our criteria, and they're invited to the bridge program. And like I said, that is a 1-year biomedical sciences degree. Next is the Master of Science in Medical Engineering, which is a relatively new program. Our first class started last year. And then the Master of Science in Clinical Informatics, which is designed for folks who are working in the medical field who want to further their experience with informatics. So there's a lot of opportunities here at WMed to continue on and to further explore your interests through additional degrees as well. All right, well, I do encourage all of you to stay connected with us. Jump on and follow us on social media. Our email address is also here. So if you have questions or specific questions that are maybe a little bit more unique to you that you want to chat with us about, you are more than welcome always to send us an email. I do have a few questions. We've been taking questions on Instagram throughout this session. And I'm seeing a couple about tuition and financial aid and really how students pay for medical school, which is a great question and something we really encourage students to be thinking about from the very get-go. So here at WMed, we are a private school. That means our tuition is about $57,000 a year. Our students do, by and large, I would say the majority do finance with some sort of loans. The wonderful part about WMed is we do have a really great financial aid office. So students are always welcome to meet with our financial aid folks, walk through their specifics, and really figure out what the next best steps would be. We've really woven financial literacy throughout our curriculum, and is something we think we can do a better job as future physicians. We can do a better job of knowing kind of what it looks like and what the financial side looks like. So we have woven financial literacy throughout our curriculum, so that hopefully this next generation of physicians are a little bit more well prepared to figure out what those loans look like and that those repayment options look like. So you will meet our financial aid office on our interview day and then get to know them even better when you become a student. All right. I'm seeing also a few questions about, what can I do to stand out, or what does WMed really look for in a student? And this is one of my favorite questions, because the reality here is there is no A plus B equals medical school, right? There's no one right way to do it. What we want to see is your interests and who you are, what you would bring to the class. I've joked with students before that you should never suffer through anything because you think someone like me thinks that you should. So I encourage you to figure out, try new things, figure out what you like, and spend your time accordingly. If you really enjoy research, great, spend your time there. Does that mean you should never step foot in a hospital or clinic? No, it does not. But it does mean that we want to see well-rounded. We want to see students who, when we bring that team together, maybe we do have one who's very well published and has spent a lot of time in a research lab, sitting alongside someone who has worked as a nursing assistant for a number of years. So there's no right path to medical school. It is really figuring out what your passions are and then letting those shine. We have students here who have definitely not the cookie cutter route to medical school, who bring something different, who have had a career maybe outside of medicine before coming to medical school, and we think that actually builds stronger teams, better teams, and you're able to learn more from each other that way. So there's no right way to do it. Just follow where your interests are and what you're interested in, and we'll see that in your application. All right, last question I'm getting is about will this webinar be recorded, and how can I get my hands on it? Well, if you want to share it, or if you are hoping to catch this later, maybe show it somewhere, we will be saving this. We will be sending out an email after the event today with a link to a survey, but also a link to this recording as well. So you're welcome to watch this again, check it out, but also follow up. If you have any specific questions, please shoot us an email, get in touch. We are happy to answer any questions that you may have about WMed or about learning here in Kalamazoo. So thank you for tuning in today for our very first webinar. And I hope to hear from you soon. I hope to see applications from you soon. Thank you.